Hello, welcome back to the workshop after the interview. So we had the interview already done, as I mentioned in the previous video of this role. So now I just want to give you what I could gather from the interview during the interview. So this is a ongoing job which I had mentioned already. I had applied for. They answered me back, so I'm showing you in real time. So here, as I mentioned already, we are just doing a workshop. So some of the other things which I knew, which I didn't, but I just want to lay them out so that at least you can see the thought process of going into these kind of jobs and how sometimes to navigate other difficult areas, or you might have questions which you need answered, or even the certain things you might not think they could be asked, which I got the opportunity either to ask or I could have asked. So to start off is we are still on job seeking. We are still looking for jobs. So we have done already the job prepared interview, which I showed you last night in very quick. We have got the job skills, which is on the CV. That's my CV, which I have given to them already. So they haven't started the job onboarding. You only get onboarding when you are successful. So we are in between there. So we'll wait for the answer for this. So anything which will happen or will come up after whatever they offer, whether it's negative or positive, I will let you know. So they confirm the hybrid and flexible working arrangements. So this helps a lot in where the offices, because nowadays, as I mentioned already, they are doing the hybrid and making sure it's flexible. So 2 days, you might be 2 days at the uh, where you'll be working, and then the rest of it you'll be at home, working from home. So you might need, they might give you a laptop for the work for you to use. And sometimes while you go to work, if it is a closed system, i.e. it's very sensitive, then you might need to go on site. Or sometimes you are seeing a client, you want to have a conversation with the client, you might need to go there. Now the other thing is the amount which they will offer. Now most of the time, if you are applying, let's say 50, maybe all the way to 70 a year, what this will indicate also is that this is a senior. So this is a senior position. So if it is a senior position, you might need to be thinking about, when you are doing your interview, about maybe the next step is uh, l- team leader, which they might ask you why you're applying this. So you could tell them you want to be their future team leader, among other things which you can say. And sometimes they will ask you, how much do you expect? You could say, if you are coming through an agent, so you'd have an agent representing to you, and he has put you forward. Just reflect it back to the agent, and you tell them that, speak to my agent about the adjustment to the amount, whether they could say, oh, chances are they will not go below this, they will go maybe up higher if they take you permanent, or if it is on contract. So there might be something going on which they want maybe for you to clarify, or they want to move you from a contract to a permanent position. So they could also ask you that. So be aware aware of that. So let's go further into the CV here. So as I mentioned about the security designs and accreditation, that they are merging uh, different discipline into one. So what happens for these merging two skills could be because the company, let's say uh, company X is getting from MOD lots of contracts in different field, then company X, what they will do is it will change their portfolio. Let's say portfolio, something like that. Um, um, so their portfolio it could be enlarged. So they might need to do investigations on maybe breaches happening to the product which they are giving out. So in that case, what will happen is if you are coming, you have got the security design apart from being regulations, but they might need people to be doing the digital forensics. So if they are going, or they are thinking of doing digital forensics and AI writing incidents and all that, they might also need someone with that skill set to be in that team. So this could become a plus for them to look out and making sure that they can get someone with those skill set. Sometimes it will just be a case of you did a certain qualification in, let's say, uh, health, um, health services or safety, to be more precise. They could also want you. That's also another plus. So these additional plus, once they talk to you, whether it will be a scenario, it's good to be able to recollect this and give them an example, because when the other candidates come also to do their interview, because you had those pluses in there, you'll be ahead of the game. And chances are you might end up being selected as the first candidate to be given that contract. Now, the system accreditation, I liaising with other people or to get the requirements or clarify the requirements. This will come on the behavior. So on behavior questions, you have to give them also examples where you ended up in a or in a team on your own, but talking to a team so that they can liaise on that project to coordinate themselves and be able to do maybe something they didn't think about doing a collaboration. So if you narrate or you have to write down somewhere before the interview, these are the sort of things you need to write down and keep them separate so that when you are being asked about the behavior questions, you can go into them as examples. So let's go further into our discussion here, taking the third point here. Now here, determine the physical and cybersecurity strategy. This I managed to squeeze in with um, what I was talking about accreditation and especially liaising that in a situation I had to physically go to the site and did some documentation and then look at their cybersecurity strategy, i.e. CIS controls. So this control could just be a a padlock, you know, you know, just a simple padlock. You're right about that. They needed to making sure that they are changing the padlock. So you have fulfilled all that, and also the influence and shape. This could also become on the behavior, but you can make an example later on. The technical design, they will ask you like the cycle of engineers when they are doing their production. So you might need also to have a mental understanding on roughly what it is. Like in our case, we saw that you need to do design. Then after design, you need to implement. Then after implementing, you need to test. Then after test, you need to analyze. So this is how engineers will think of the product and its steps. So you need to mention this and um, within the example, or just to say that you are aware this is how they will think when they are building security and design and also development concept. Together, this they might also ask you about the risk. How are you going? How what steps can you take to eliminate risk, or how do you eliminate risk? Either by giving it to someone else, giving it away, you know, or sometimes you take it upon yourself and start doing the mitigations. Sometimes you need to escalate this risk to up the chain of command to somebody else. So those are some of the what you can do to the risk. So in the appropriate for tools, I mentioned about GRC tooling. We have got tooling called Blackthorn. There is also another one called Archer. So you can look at those products, how they work, so that at least you can mention briefly what analytical capabilities you could use for the tool, or which could have been resolved by using the analytical tools. Also, you can also mention that there is also security risk also coming with the vulnerabilities, and as I mentioned already, system design. So we are still revolving around those many issues. So those are some of the other things which came up in the interview with the question. So you need to identify which area they are talking about. Now, the other thing which I think could be good is the framework, like the industrial security notices. So I'll just mention this to a certain extent because you need to be aware what is industrial security notices. So the industrial security notices, you can get them on gov.uk website. Now, what these industrial security notices, they are the notice to the industry. So this industry is think of company like BBC. Um, you can think of what is CGI from states, but they have got a bigger presence here. So these companies, for them to know what kind of policies or framework they need to push in assurance, they will look at the ISN. So in the ISN, it will mention, uh, for instance, it will say they have to use NIST 800 series. They have to use IS1 and IS2 framework. they have to use, say, secure by design. So So these are, and also another one which they mentioned was CAF, which is a cyber assessment framework, but I used it for reporting. But it's not only used for reporting, it's also used for other things. So you might need to dig deep and find out. So these are the other frameworks which in any project they need to have as part of what we call ARMADS. So ARMAS again is just a document, um, a set of documents which tie into that project. So any document for the project is considered ARMAS, but you just need to separate them because you don't want technical a document where they've got password to be given to the accreditor because that could cast as a breach. So you need to be well aware that you need to separate the documents, give what they need to documents someone needs to work on to complete their job. Otherwise, you need to seek a permission, i.e., to the hierarchy. Maybe it's the CISO. So the CISO can say yes or no, but you have to inform them. Don't take it upon yourself to say, I think because he's the creator, he needs everything, you know. So be aware also of the cyber threats update, especially in the secure by design, because secure by design came in simply because of the cyber threats which happened. That's why, hence, as a mitigation, they introduce secure by design, and also know a few technologies in the cyber security area, like all day, what is all day, what is CVE, those kind of things. You need to be also well aware of those. So without going into further, I think this is a good place to stop by. So I invite you to ask me lots of questions you can think of. But the other video I'll make is start going into some of the other courses, some of the other things we do as a, SAC or security assurance coordinator, what we need to bear in mind or learn so that we can use it um, in the area or in the work environment. So with that, I thank you for viewing.